Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of our Twitter Spaces that we host once a week, every Thursday, 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. EST for all you East Coasters that are out there. Welcome again. So this week's episode is going to be, if you're starting your business all over again, what would you do differently? I'm sure there's a lot of insights. We have a few founders here that are joining us. But just for all of you tuning in that are brand new, Mission Matters, for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we are a media brand focused on the needs of entrepreneurs, executives, experts. Our mission is to help inspire and educate future generations. And we do that through a lot of our media content, our podcast specifically. We've recorded close to 5,000 episodes across our platform. Along with that, we have a thought leadership platform where we published over 250 some odd authors in a wide variety of books. We actually just launched our most recent book, Business Leaders Volume 8, which I'm sure Adam will share a little bit more about. But with that, we also have our podcast agency side and our podcast network where we manage about 250 podcasters. Over 200 podcasters, and have been growing and building that a little bit more frequently. And then we also have our advertising side of our business. And so with that, what we like to do is bring our community together of all of our podcasters, authors, and any of our advertising clients who like to join us and participate in these discussions. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of insights. And so with that, the way that we always start these off is this is just more so like a fireside chat. Like imagine you're at the dinner table and you're having a conversation with friends. And, Adam, I'm going to pass the baton here to Adam, and Adam's going to go around the room. We'll just do some quick intros, and then from there, we'll ask some questions, and then let's get the show on the road. So with that, Adam, feel free to take the lead.
All right. Thank you, Chirag. And thank you for putting together this topic and bringing everyone together. I think it's a great one and excited to have everybody on here. I guess just a couple of, housekeeping items. So because as Chirag mentioned, this is going to be recorded and also distributed both on the website and on other platforms. And it's not always easy for people to distinguish between who's talking. So if you can say your name before you respond or something, it just helps the listener, so the end user, to get a little bit more, to have a better, user experience when they're listening to the dialogue in the future. Also, just another note. So I just went through and I wasn't following Demetra, and I did not believe I was following Christy either. I just went through and followed everyone that's on this panel right now. You're all authors and all connected, part of the same community. So probably a good idea to just click on everybody's picture and follow so that everybody stays connected. You can follow each other's content going forward. So now let's just start. I'll just kind of go to my right in this case. Christy, if you want to maybe introduce yourself and what you do.
Thank you, Adam. Great to be part of the Mission Matters community, and I'm learning more each time that I join you. It's a very rich and diverse community, and I appreciate that. Christy Morell Stinson, I am with Significant Advantage. We're a partner with Keller Williams, mergers and acquisitions, business broker division, and commercial. And we have my focus is founders, business expansion, business exit, and getting the greatest value from your business. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Christy. And Lakeisha, welcome.
Hi, happy to be here. Lakeisha Mazer, Business Development Advisor for Legal Help, number4biz.com. Also a Mission Matters book author that just got released.
Woohoo! Annette, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. This is Annette Sollers. I am in Chicago, Illinois, and I own iWant, which is a retail healthware store. And I am one of the authors in volume number 8. So thank you very much for having me. It's quite a joy. It's very exciting. There's a lot of wonderful people within this group, and it is truly a real learning experience to be able to discuss all of these things with other businesses around the country and around the world. It's very enriching.
Thank you, Annette. Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
We don't talk enough. How many times did I talk to you today? We never talk anymore. What's going on?
Only a few. I miss you. But luckily, we have our fireside chat here. So I'm excited to talk about, you're starting your business again. What would you do? You just don't know. Well, this is a great conversation to have. So this is Matt Cook. I am the director of agency at Mission Matters. So pretty much all things podcast at Mission Matters.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Demetra, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. This is Demetra with Madison Street Search. We're a boutique finance and accounting recruiting firm specialized in accounting, finance, audit, tax, and SEC reporting. Based in Chicago, but across the U.S. So I am a fellow author, I guess a little bit OG. I feel old now. I'm volume 6. So super excited to
You're an
chat with
OG
everyone
for
here today.
sure.
We talked about this. We're going to be like, just you guys are flooding ahead with so many new authors. It's so exciting that you guys are just constantly growing this. And it's an amazing group to be a part of. So we're honored.
Awesome. Well, great to have you here and part of the community. So I guess just to get this thing started. So you're starting your business again. What would you do? So there's a bunch of different ways that we can approach this topic. Oh, there goes Jeff. Hold on, Jeff. Jeff might not be able to speak today. I think he was out and he's not available. I think he'll be listening in primarily. I think he texted me earlier and let me know. So if he can chime in, he will. But I know he might be on the sideline on this. He's in a noisy environment and didn't want to ruin the recording. But he did want to listen. So that being said, a lot of different ways that we can approach this topic. And I think about it and it's kind of like, okay, there's a lot of things that we can say that, okay, well, if I didn't start my business that way or make that mistake early on, then maybe, I wouldn't be where I'm at, or some of these other things wouldn't have happened. But I don't really want to go down that route. Instead, I'd like it, at least to start, by the way, I'd rather look at like maybe some like actual things, like hard items or things that we say, oh, I wish I would have. And I'll start this off, by the way, on myself. But I'll say the first thing that I wish I would have done is listen to Chirag earlier on, the other co-founder here, on collecting data and just being more organized on the tech side. So we probably didn't start our CRM until maybe like year 2.5. And we worked off of spreadsheets and we worked off of a lot of other things that weren't necessarily like, definitely weren't like that difficult in retrospect to start, but I didn't make it a priority. That was my responsibility for what we do in our division of responsibility. So I'll put that on myself, but I didn't make that a priority early on. And I kind of regret it because I know we lost some data from the early days, like the very, very early days. And when I say data, I mean things like some contacts, some emails, some people that were, good parts of the community we were building when we started out as Money Matters. So if I had to kind of like say one big thing for me, and if I was to start over, can't speak for Chirag, but for me, I would say I would have listened to Chirag earlier on the data side of things and some of the technology. That's my confession. Who wants to confess next and or add to that?
Well, I mean, I could probably just chime in right after that. I think on my side, it's going to be more engaging. Even it's kind of like putting where your mouth is, right? Like prior to like even when we were working in the early days with Adam, I would give a lot of consults on like how to present yourself on social media and be more active about it. I actually just started being more active finally myself as of like 2-3 months ago, and kind of figuring it out. And it's been interesting because there's a lot of insights that I've even gotten from managing it myself and doing it intentionally, that now I'm like, man, I wish I probably should have started this like more actively 4 or 5 years ago. I think there were points. There was a stint where I was actually posting almost every day on LinkedIn for like 1 to 2 months straight, and then I literally just let it go. But it's actually provided a lot of opportunities, just like even from just like friends that I haven't talked to in many years, like even from like 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that are following me and like reached out of the blue, who, because they've seen that we do podcasts, we do books, they got to see just updates on what's happening in real time. So I think for me, it's just I should have been more active on social media myself when I was telling other people to be more active, ironically.
I'll hop in and probably back both of you on that. Adam, in terms of keeping track of contacts, I mean, as a staffing firm, we're bound by non-compete. So when I left my last firm, you literally have to start from scratch. And so, yes, data of contacts is so important, following up on conversations. And then Chirag, we will now call it, I think in today's world, it's called social media marketing. If we're trying to keep up with the kids and the times nowadays. Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's so
too
good.
wish that I was way more active on social media. But you know what? We're so dang busy doing the day to day and generating revenue that we forget to like show it off. And so, kind of like, I use Buffer, which is like a free kind of scheduling platform, like marketing thing, where you can literally plan out a bunch of posts ahead of time because we don't have time to do that on the daily. So, yes, I feel actually both of you. To pivot on that, I would say, I mean, I have many lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur. I think the one is probably more technical and ops is I think I would have done a better job of researching all of my technologies, all of my contracts, all of my operating expenses just a bit better, right? I kind of took whatever I knew from my experience and other firms that I have worked with and saying, oh, yeah, this is a great applicant tracking system. You know, now I'm kicking myself because I'm tied to a year-long contract. And obviously, people come and go, you have short-term projects, but you're tied financially for a year. I would have chosen a data tracking system that was possibly paid monthly versus annually. So just kind of like reconfiguring my operating expenses as it relates to having an annual contract versus monthly. I find it much better for it to be monthly so that I have the flexibility to change things out as I need.
I can jump in here. I'd like to say that I should have gone to a doctor early on to discover why I ever wanted to be a retailer. It is a very, very difficult task when you are in a service business that I am in. For me, early on, I opened 25 years ago in the days of where we were paying $3,000 to $5,000 a month for yellow page ads. And we were sending out postcards to do events and paying massive mailing fees and all of those things. So we didn't really have the opportunity of the internet and social media like we do now. And that has truly changed everything. Social media is so immediate. When you have a minute reel on something or an event that you're having, it happens in a minute, and then you're right on to the next thing. So trying to keep that presence in front of people is very different when it's so rapidly being flashed in front of them and they quickly forget unless you keep repeating. But at the same time, you don't want to, hound your clients to get them in the door. So it's just a medium where you have to find what's just right in the way that you would advertise to reach your client base. There's so many online sales now going on with healthcare that I happen to carry healthware, and it is all prescription healthware, and you need a body and you need to be able to fit them, and you need to have that experience working in healthcare that you simply cannot get as an online service. There are online services for eyewear like Warby Parker and those things, but they are simply not a personal experience of fitting someone's body with something other than just eyewear. And I carry both. So, difficult road, but wonderful advances. We finally have modern technology in the eyewear industry. We are able to do a simple glasses refraction online, and you don't even have to go to an eye doctor to order your eyeglasses. The other healthware that I fit is for people that have cancer, diabetes, circulatory problems, lymphedema, breast cancer, and those require having people there and being able to measure them. So it is a very different form of retail than what we're used to seeing. And that is really the reason why I stayed in it, because it's more healthcare for healthware than it is a disposable product like a pair of eyeglasses.
Okay, so looking at it now, and these are some of the big ones, what we do if we started all over again. I guess as we next step, as we think about like some of the things that we maybe, and it doesn't have to be related to what we just shared, but just in general to some of those things that we're trying to correct and or make up for that when we first started. My example, we had like what was next, like how did we get over it, and then I guess what was the outcome of it and actually kind of correcting it, even though you couldn't go back in time and start over, obviously, like that's not possible, but what was possible. So relating exactly to what I shared in kind of in the opening about the technology side of things, we decided, so Chirag and I made the decision, well, we got to start somewhere. Like it's one of those things, like it's not going to be perfect, right? Like you can't go back. What's done is done. That data was lost and we're not going to necessarily find it. So what do we start with? So we started essentially with our CRM, and we started building out that back end to really reframe and rethink about how we maximize how we're adding value to our audience, essentially, because that's our business, right? Is promoting both the podcast network and our authors and all the content that they're creating, and that they come to us to trust to get their message and their word out, because many, just like Demetra, as she said, like, hey, we're busy, like we're doing a lot of things, like we need some some help on things, whether it's posting or otherwise. So we went back in and we had to, do the heavy leg work of actually, getting the CRM up and going, getting all the other things, even the newsletter. That's another one. Oh, I know Matt's probably laughing with the mute on right now because he knows when I get on my newsletter tangent, I'm not going to do that. But
please, no newsletter tangents.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. But yeah, like us not starting that sooner and us like not really. And the thing is, when in our business, like that was kind of like a big mistake. We should have been doing that a lot sooner. And now we've sent, well over 1 million, emails in terms of our newsletter. And that's been a real big catalyst to us growing our audience. So I guess we had to go back, do the heavy lifting, and because of that, we were rewarded. So I know that's a long tee up, but I'd be interested to hear, as whether it was what you shared or otherwise, as you went back in, and were you able to maybe correct some of the things you didn't do, and were you able to kind of learn from that experience to move forward? Like, what did that journey look like? And the reason I asked this question, by the way, is a lot of people will listen to this and they're going to self-identify and they're going to be like, I was that person. I did that too. Oh yeah, I did that. And I know when I listen to podcasts, I think that many times. And so the idea is, how do we provide people some hope that, like, go do the work, there's hope on the other side? So I'd be interested to hear other people's journey and that kind of like how they got to the other side.
Well, I'll go ahead and actually speak to that. This is Lakeisha Mazer. My thing when I originally created Legal Help for Biz.com was to reach out to business owners because they don't legally protect their business, or they do have a lawyer on retainer, but they only break glass in case of emergencies, and they don't know what their contracts are. They don't know how to not take advantage of vendors or their employees. And because I was coming straight from corporate life insurance, I loved event marketing, and I was doing the identity theft seminars. And even though I created the company for businesses, some kind of way I found myself in B2C. And I could not get out of B2C for the life of me. And I was like, why? How do I, so I'm in my 6th year of business, and I'm finally, everything is turning into B2B, like who I'm talking with. And I think a lot of that was posture, because I'm the expert. I've got my licenses. I totally know the needs, of how the regular people need their life insurance, health insurance, the legal insurance, and the identity theft insurance. So to the regular consumer, I am the expert because I eat, sleep, and breathe all my product knowledge. But I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to assess your need, and I'm going to offer my solution. And if you agree that it's a good solution, I'm going to work with you to get that solution, and I'm going to help you utilize that solution. Because even with just the life and health part in growing those books, I mean, they're serious products, they're not really one and done, they're relational. But the B2B, what it was, is calling business owners and having this underlining call reluctance, because I too am a business owner, and business owners pick up the phone. So why was it so hard for me to call business owners? And all I had to do was ask them. And if it was yes, cool, let's schedule an appointment. If it's no, great, no big deal. I've got the insurance background. We're trained to have thick skin to hear no. We're not afraid of hearing no. But that was my posture. And as confidence grew and being, I guess, networking, honestly, because nobody knows if you're in business, if you're not networking and saying what you do. I mean, between business owners. So it was a connection thing. And once I connected with enough people, joined enough things that I actually engaged with, then I got that confidence. And now everything I do is pretty much B2B now. Even my other company that I actually formed, it's strictly like B2B stuff. And one of my failures this year was trying to grow my B2C life insurance book and the marketing dollars. But this Q4 is going to be excellent because now I'm still going to do it, but it's actually going to be B2B, which will be faster, easier, and everything is just B2B. So when I created my company to be B2B, I should have stuck with it and stayed with it versus what my book of business originally had in it.
So just tagging off of what you were just saying, this is Christy Morelstonson with Significant Advantage. I would approach the startup of my business more from a mid-sized business perspective and less from a individual licensed practice perspective, which I was steeped in when I first started as a business coach, and previous to that started in real estate. And so I had that grid or that impression of, a licensed professional building a book of business. And if I could start all over again, I would focus more on intellectual property, proprietary process, building a team quickly, elevating my role in the business, and let the business grow underneath me or alongside of me versus me being the center of the business. And I feel like that's something we can start, any day, right? You can always choose to start working in that direction, but I definitely would have started that a lot earlier in my work.
Yeah, this is some good stuff. And I know a lot of people can relate on this. So now let's talk about, I guess, let's maybe take it a step further. So I know this is sparked by what you said, Christy. So what about maybe going a little bit further from when we just started, and as our business started to grow, and as we started to kind of like get some traction, whether it was our idea or our service or our physical product, whatever we were doing. What are some of the things that you learned along the way as you were kind of in that growth mode and bringing on new clients? Like what kind of lessons did you learn along the way there? That's open to anyone, but Christy, if you'd like to chime in, not
Sure.
picking on you, but whoever liked to take it.
Yeah, I'll just say a couple things about that and then I'll yield the floor. But I would go for bigger clients earlier, and I would really elevate my program and network with the larger clients and go for contracts and teach my team to learn how to do that and do that larger networking. And I think that kind of approach can really deepen your business plan, deepen the effect that you have, rather than so many small clients. And you want to be careful, of course, about ratios. You don't want to overweight your book of business too much with one or two big clients, but I would definitely go for larger clients and a better mix.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm actually at that stage now. And the only difference is the no is still the same. And the yes, when you get that yes, it's a bigger yield.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that as well. I think to answer Adam your question, by the way, this is Demetra with Madison Street. I know I sound a little bit differently than normal because I had lost my voice this week. I'm getting over a cold, so I am not in my normal Demetra voice. But I think what I would do differently during my growth phase was, as entrepreneurs, right, we have this fear of taking on too much that, oh crap, if I can't fulfill these needs for my clients, I may lose them. They may not think I'm good enough. And I think I would have taken on a little bit more risk maybe a couple more years ago in rapidly growing a team to keep up with that growth versus trying to do it all on my own, fill up my cup, and not even fill it up. I was overloading my cup because you just don't want to, you're not able to delegate. You're just so busy in the day to day. On the flip side of that, when you're so busy in the day to day, it actually doesn't allow you to seek more creativity and strategy. For example, again, in the recruiting world, there are so many different systems, platforms, ways to automate your business, auto email, like mass emailing systems or newsletters or things like that, where over the years, I've literally had no time to take those calls to try and streamline and create more efficiencies for my business. And I'm talking something more efficient than just creating some templates so that I don't have to type out the same email over again. I'm talking more sophisticated. So again, just taking away that fear of taking on too much. If you have that itch to grow the team, you're financially stable. I take more of a conservative approach when it comes to that to make sure that, hey, this money in the bank can cover X amount of years in operating expenses if the market turns or whatever could possibly hinder your business from growth, but also being able to invest in your team just to kind of help make that explosion and kind of like ride the not thinking of the word. Guys, what's the word?
Wave.
Wave? I was going for wave.
Before, in more, it's better than the wave.
Oh.
I think I've had like way too much Theraflu.
Crest.
So,
Ride the. That's all I got is the wave.
The trend.
Market.
The trend.
The
No.
opportunity.
No more, guys. Like ride the not the synergy, ride the
Trend. The trend.
No.
Oh.
Storm.
I was thinking a different word, but this was a fun game. This
This
was
was a
fun.
fun game. I like
It
it.
is. Is there a winner?
So
No, nobody won. No one won that because we didn't think of the word that was on the tip of my tongue.
So I'm hearing some good wisdom about elevating your role in the business early on, and having the systems in place and focusing on investing in your team. And I would say also investing in your platform, right? That your team is equipped by, and finding a way to bring more capital into the business a little earlier. I'll go back to my point about intellectual property. I mean, I think in many cases, we could be creating greater value in terms of IP assets earlier in the game and then leveraging those.
I'll chime in. This is Matt, Director of Agency at Mission Matters. Before Mission Matters, I've had a couple different businesses, one of them being a social media marketing business. And that was the first business I had ever started. And one of the things that I'll say and kind of piggyback off of what Dimitri was saying is that, growing slowly is actually sometimes more important than growing fast. Because what ended up happening there is all of a sudden I'm out selling and got a group of clients. And next thing you know, before I could even structure out the business, know how to scale it and grow it, that all of a sudden I'm at max capacity because I was doing everything around social media. So this is going back in the day to when social media really first started, and I'm overwhelmed. Well, one, if I wanted to hire somebody, I was going to have to take time to train, but then I'm stuck because then I'm not fulfilling what the clients needed. So it was a very tough decision to ultimately kind of back off and kind of let a client go in order to backstep and come back into where I could actually handle that and then still be creative, still be able to look at the business and still be able to look at how to scale, put systems in place, and infrastructure is another big one that you really need to have. And then I will also go back to the beginning of this entire conversation because I really didn't want to be a homer, but since I'm talking about it, gosh, I wish I had done my podcast back then. I had 3 episodes recorded and it never got distributed, never did anything. And now it's to the point to where having a podcast really allows you to be the voice behind the brand, be the voice behind your business, and allow people to see inside without feeling that kind of pressure of, oh, this is a sales call and making outbound calls and things along those lines. Now somebody can get to listen to you, listen to your insights, listen to how you go about your business. And we've seen it time and time again to where people want to do business with people not only that they like, but people that they trust and believe in. And that can't be done through a website. That can't be done through sometimes just a single sales call because people are going to think, oh, you're just trying to sell me. This gives them that insight and that comfortableness and that trust factor that comes along with it. So I would say that I would throw that in there, that I wish I had launched that as well. But then I wouldn't be here with Adam and Chirag and Jeff at Mission Matters and our entire team and company. So everything happens for a reason and works out in the end.
My
Damn,
regret is
so-
you didn't make me keep doing the podcast too, Matt. Thank you. For those who have heard this story, Matt is the one that forced me to get the first podcast mic. So good job there too, Matt. Sorry to pick on
You're welcome, Adam. You're welcome.
I think for us, Mission Matters, it's funny because when we launched our very first book, our first project, one of the things that we really focused on was community and trying to build this up in that regards. I think there was a point for I think we were just focused so much on growth and trying to growing aspects of the business that I think there was a 1-2 years where the community was there, but we weren't doing as much to build a community. I think we really got back into the community side of things almost maybe a year or so ago to really build, really scale that out. Well, I think in large part to Jeff too. Like once he joined the team, it allowed us to really emphasize and really build that side. I mean, we did our first event in person after like 3 years, 4 years, right? I don't even remember how long it's been since we did that one last book release party, and then to the most recent event in person. But it's things that like that we're picking back up, where it's like it's investing back into the community. But granted, COVID obviously played a part in that, but we went digital for a reason. And really, I think over the last, I guess this year, 2022, it's really going back to the roots of how the entire company started and building back on that foundation.
Well, I definitely say yay to Mission Matters. Every aspect of the company, definitely a big component in my growth. This is Lakeisha Mazer with LegalHelpForBiz.com. And I actually want to throw something into the mix to purposely schedule rest, okay, to avoid burnout when thinking of doing the business, because you don't want to burn out. You're all go, you're all steam, but purposely scheduling rest, which I actually I enjoy, because when you're building, you're just in building mode. And at some point, you're going to have a burnout. And if I wasn't doing it, it was like coma sleep for like days. And so to purposely schedule rest, to self-charge and self-fuel. I mean, one of the bonuses is if you do have a team, you can do that a little bit more often. But when you're first starting out, that's actually important. Plus, it keeps your creative juices flowing, and you don't lose your zest for creating the business you poured yourself into.
That is a great
Amen,
point. Burnout
Lakeisha.
is, yeah, the
I couldn't agree
burnout
more
is
with
a
that.
real thing. And it
Yep.
happens often, to where when all of a sudden you're going through and you're trying to build this great business and you're working every day, every night. I mean, the only person I've ever seen be able to pull this off without going through burnout, or at least I've never known of it, is Mr. Adam Torres here. Probably the hardest worker I've ever seen and been around in my life. I used to think that I was a workaholic, and then I met Adam, and he torched me on that one. But I've run into several situations to where, like, sometimes you feel like you're a machine, and then all of a sudden you've run into a brick wall, and you're like, how in the world am I supposed to do anything now? And you lose focus, you lose that ability to have that creativity. To your point, like, it really is such a big factor. And I mean, we talk about mental health now so much, especially post pandemic, right? Because everybody was at home having to go through a lot of mental stress, having to deal with families even more so. It's definitely mental health and just being able to think clearly, have the type of rest that you need. And everybody's different, right? There's people out there that need 10 hours of sleep. There's others like, oh gosh, I forget her name, but the CEO from Yahoo that used to talk about how she only needed 4 hours of sleep in order to be fully rested. My God, do I wish that I could get away with only having 4 hours of sleep. I am a sleep person as well. And it is tough when you don't get enough sleep and yet you have all this stuff on your plate. That burnout comes, and it comes out of nowhere. So definitely, as I look back, I'm like, yeah, that happened to me a few times in starting businesses, and it takes more time away from those businesses in order to get yourself back out of that burnout rather than just taking care of yourself. So that is a very big key.
And it's not even just a business burnout, it's a personal burnout. And when you're combating
Yeah.
both, it's very difficult to pull your own self out of it to be able to be effective to run the business.
So that's a
Yeah.
really great point
Valid.
in bringing the right kind of coach into your world, to be that perspective and help you reflect on that. I mean, I think some of the best investment that I've made as a business owner is in the right coaching, training, personal development work that really helps me prioritize in the right way and my time better. You only have so much capacity. We've heard it, our whole lives. We have 24 hours a day. That's a great equalizer. So how do we use that? And leveraging those minutes by deepening the wisdom that you have through mentorship, by deepening the impact that you have through coaching. I can't emphasize that enough. That's been a huge game changer for me.
I heard a
Totally.
great quote from actually an upcoming podcast show that we're producing, and the quote was, if Tim Cook of Apple needs advice and advisors and a board of directors, then you need a team to help you and to advise you. And it's a really good thought, because as solo entrepreneurs or small businesses, it's like a lot of times you don't think about that. You don't think that, oh, I need to build a team around me. So having coaches, having the right people around you is huge, because again, if Tim Cook needs a team, then everybody needs a team. And
Yeah,
no, I'm
I
not
would
related.
sacrifice lifestyle income and invest in coaching more than I would like to, buy a better car or upgrade my home from my business income. I mean, I think that's something a lot of entrepreneurs miss, is that we just think we can go it alone, and then we take those business increases and we just up our lifestyle instead of reinvesting in that deeper self-awareness.
Totally, which by the way reminds me of my fellow author, which now means everyone needs to get the volume 6 book, because someone highlights how important coaching is. Now you guys all have to get, whoever's listening, now you have to get volume 6.
And where are we getting these coaches?
Maybe the Mission Matters community has some good coaches.
Yep.
I wonder.
Adam, you
Yep.
want to give a pitch for Mission Search?
Hey now. Get out of the search world, people.
No, mission searches
I'm
are
kidding.
Oh, Dimitri, come on, you did your podcast training. Hold on. No. On the website you just put in coach, and you'll see a bunch of different individuals come up. But for all the Mission Matters authors, you should have if you have not joined yet, you should have access to the private Facebook group for the Mission Matters authors group. If you haven't joined, definitely join it. Shoot Jeff an email if you don't know what I'm talking about, and he'll help you get logged in or added to the group. But if you put in there, I mean, we have multiple coaches within your own community and network and if they're in our book, they're vetted, and we've obviously been working with them and trusted them enough to publish them. So just throwing that out there.
There's just not enough. There's not enough funding. There's not enough staffing, and there's not enough relief.
Yeah,
With every
and to
business,
pivot off
when
of
you're
that,
pouring yourself all into your own independent business. I've been a solo business owner for 25 years, and it's been the most difficult thing to have enough funding and enough staffing to give you any relief to prevent you from arriving at burnout.
yeah, and just to pivot off of that too, because Annette, you were saying, where to find these people. I've made so many connections just even through the Facebook network and just the Mission Matters community. It's like
Is
once
this
you get
Christy?
in, you're sucked in.
Is this Christy?
This is Demetra.
Oh, Demetra. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Christy is in Chicago. Is that right?
Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, she's in Florida. Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone said earlier they were from Chicago.
That was me.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So but you're in Florida now.
No, Demetra Madison Street is in Chicago. Christy's in Florida.
Okay, I got you. My mistake. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, of course.
So talking about that capacity issue again, this is Christy speaking from Sarasota. Significant advantage. The creative strategy when you're a smaller business and you don't have a lot of that capacity and you really need to up level your role is strategic partnerships and crafting joint ventures so that you're again not going it alone. We don't have to operate in the marketplace as independent wheels. We can come together in temporary joint ventures and strategic partnerships without making really long-term commitments to those partnerships until we've tested them out. But that's another way to leverage your time and offset maybe the weaknesses that your business has by finding some synergy with another small business. So can we shift the conversation for just a minute, Adam? I'm just wondering if we can touch on disaster preparedness.
Go for it. Go for it. We normally keep these to about an hour, so we have another 10 minutes or so. But I think it's definitely relative and worth bringing up. So please lead the way.
Yeah, so one of the things that I would do if I was starting over again, and I would be considering the threats to my business, the external threats to my business, such as disaster, security issues, like digital security is becoming a bigger and bigger issue by the day. I think that we need to teach startups and small businesses how to assess the risks that they're facing and be really honest about that without, and right size their contingency planning. You can't plan like a huge business, but you can definitely have some contingency plans in place. And again, strategic partnerships in that area. I mean, I'm watching that play out right here in my city. And of course, south of me is been hit with a much greater disaster than Sarasota ended up being spared from. But that disaster preparedness, do you have a generator? Are you able to continue to do business, or are you shut down for a week because there's no power? It's things like that to consider. Any thoughts on that from the other speakers?
Well, I would definitely say digital safety is important. I mean, only one of my products is, the cyber insurance. I do find that some of the small business owners do feel like they're kind of invincible or they don't need it. And the whole point of these insurances is in case you need it, not call me after you done had what you had. Yes, I can resolve that issue, but chances are someone has reached out to you, or even a business coach had advised, hey, by the way, you might want to get these things in place. And you were like, I just don't really have the money. And in which case the business coach should say, oh, I have someone in my Rolodex that can help you with funding. Or if nothing else, go to the Small Business Association. Like that's free resources, the SCORE for the people that need to bootstrap. There are resources out there that can kind of give you the genre. And then as you grow your capital for your business, then you can go ahead and diversify your marketing budget into these plans.
Christy, I would just say that your statement is just so profound, and it kind of makes me think back and say, okay, what do I have in place for business, let's say? Something that I've never thought about. So thank you for sharing, because now you're making my wheels turn.
Absolutely. You're welcome. I just want to give a quick shout out for Secured 2. Secured 2 is a digital security platform that protects small business, and it's so accessible, and it's just they've really lowered the barriers for small business to get that digital security protection, and I'm sure it would be really helpful for small businesses to know about those resources.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or they can call me.
Yeah, Secured 2 is not an insurance product. It's a software product.
Yes, I do offer those for the small businesses. I have a book of clientele for the accounting and the doctor's offices. So yeah, if it's not a fit, I mean, you definitely have to have some options. This is Lakeisha Mazer again, legalhelpforbiz.com.
All right. Maybe take the last couple of minutes for any maybe last minute words of wisdom, thoughts, anything else. We normally keep them pretty sharp to about an hour for the recording. And just for everybody that's listening and participating, we'll have another one next week. But we just want to make sure that we keep it going. So any last words or wisdom? You're starting your business again. What would you do? Last thoughts.
Business planning. Have a plan.
Planning.
Write it down. Check your industry.
Planning, funding, help.
All right. Well, thank you for all of that. Cool. And Chirag, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. This was an amazing discussion. Again, these conversations are recorded, and we will be sharing all the hyperlinks and with everyone here so that the content can be reshared. We will be tagging everyone on all our social channels, so be sure to be on the lookout for that and definitely reshare the content. Dialogue was awesome, and next week's conversation is going to take place again Thursday, October 6th at 4 p.m. PST. The topic is it better to be a generalist or a specialist? So looking forward to having all of you join us once again. And for those tuning in, would love to have you on a future conversation dialogue. So with that, hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Thanks so
everybody, for your
much.
wisdom
Peace.
and conversation.
Thanks,
Bye,
Adam.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.